Good. It's on now.
Come on. Oh yeah, it should be recording
It's
now.
showing up, yeah.
Is it showing up? It's not showing up on my
Yeah.
screen, which is rather
Yes.
interesting.
I can see it.
Right, let's very quickly just recap. Okay, clients on the online rather than on phone, because on the phone you can't physically see the client in front of you, so you don't know what reactions they're having. You can't pick up on those body language, those physical cues, those facial expressions and all that kind of thing. You also can't see from a safety point of view what's going on around them, their environment, as you can when you are online and you can actually see them. Same as when they are in a room with you. You are there to make sure that they are safe and they stay safe in that environment, and online is no different. On the phone you can only go on their tonality, the tone of their voice and the words that they're saying. So personally speaking, I wouldn't do on the phone. I would always do online if I can't do face to face. The current coronavirus situation, as we were just discussing, you know, people can't actually physically get into a room to see you. So online at the moment is their only option of getting help for those issues that they're dealing with. The issues that we are going to be seeing more and more of in the next, I would say the next 18 months, 2 years, are going to be things like confidence, PTSD, anxiety, social anxiety, weight gain, all those kinds of issues. And as I just mentioned to you a minute ago, make friends with a driving instructor, because I think there's going to be quite a lot of nervous drivers and people losing confidence with driving, especially the older people, because they haven't been doing it for a while. It's the same as everything, you know, once you stop doing it, your confidence can go down a little, and especially as you get older, it happens more easily. You can also reach clients that are further away. It means then, if you work online with people, it means that technically speaking, your area is the whole globe, or anywhere that they have internet.
As long as you're insured.
Yeah, you do need to check your insurance for all of this, because everybody's insurance will say something different. It may be that the insurance companies aren't quite on this yet because it was so quick, and you know, so you need to check with your insurance company. It is easy to do, just as it's been easy for us to link up today. It is easy for you to do that with clients. You may have to train them, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. It is more flexible. You'll find with you can probably fit more clients in by doing it this way, and you don't waste so much time, because you don't have the travel to and from a place. You don't have so much of the crossover, because you haven't got to reset the room for the next client. I know when I have clients in the clinic, I tend to leave about a 15-minute window between each one, so that I've got time to run out and change the water, get a fresh glass of water, do this, do that, to the other, reset the room and get out their folders and all that kind of thing. If you're in your office like this, you can only see that much. You can't see what's this side of my desk, or in front of my desk, or behind me. It's a good job you can't see it, actually. So I can have a stack of papers up here, of folders of client files, one after the other, so they're in order. So I literally take it off, open it up, off we go, press start. So it cuts a lot of time out. It means you can get them in quicker, but they can't join the meeting until you open the meeting. So you've got your you do have a waiting room, an actual waiting room, but you do have a waiting room without creating a waiting room. That makes sense? Yeah?
Yes.
Now, you can record the session that you have with clients. Now, you have at the bottom of, I think it's probably at the bottom of your screen, it's at the top of mine because I've got the share on. So at the bottom of your screen, you've got, let me think, right hand side, it's probably about the third or fourth button in from the right hand side, it says record. and all you do is just press that record button. Then it will come up with record on your computer or the cloud. I always record it to my computer because I can never find the cloud. It's a technical thing, I think. I just feel safe with it being on my computer. I know where it is then. I also think that your client can probably press record too. However, only one person can record. That one person has got to be you. You are still the hypnotist in the room. You are still the one in charge of the meeting. So we don't really want them pressing record. So don't mention it. The only time I mention recording is if I'm going to record the session or part of the session. I don't generally record the conversation that we have other than to make my own notes for myself and insurance purposes in their folder. If I do record, it's the hypnosis that I record. And I tell them that too. Every time I tell them, all my clients know that I record their hypnosis sessions, that I have a copy, so that if in the future they lose their copy, they can always get in touch with me and I can resend them it. So it's a safety thing. It's also, because sometimes I think, God, that was quite good actually, I'd like to replicate that with somebody else. So I transcribe it, and then I can use it again. I can transcribe a generic version of it, and then I can use it again if I think, well, that's a really good idea. But it is always good to have a copy, because you'd be surprised how many years later people will get in touch with you and go, you know, you sent me all those recordings that we did on my phone. Well, I've changed my phone and I've lost all the recordings, but I still use them. So it's always handy, because that is an extra level of service that you offer that I can almost guarantee you nobody else in your community will be doing the same thing.
So do you always, as a matter of course, send a copy of the hypnosis work to the client? Or only on occasions?
No, not unless they ask. But what I do is can we touch on this later? Because that's a double question that you don't realise. So can we touch on this later?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right, okay. You have Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger. I wouldn't use FaceTime or Messenger unless you absolutely have to, because I'm not 100% sure on their security, for starters. I don't think they're brilliant platforms to use for this, unless your client is an absolute technophobe and FaceTime or Messenger is the only thing that they are comfortable with and know how to use.
What about WhatsApp as well? WhatsApp video?
Yeah. For me, they feel a bit too public, so, but that might just be a personal thing that I haven't actually investigated and find the ins and outs of. Skype, years ago we used to use Skype. Don't use Skype anymore because it is so unreliable. I don't know if it's changed over the last 4 years or so, but I do know when I first started working with Sheila on one of the original mastermind groups she did back in 2014, we used Skype then, and it was so horrendous. Every few minutes, sometimes every few seconds, it was dropping out. It was a nightmare. So I personally would not use Skype, and it was quite difficult to actually join a meeting and invite somebody for a meeting and get on to a meeting. It wasn't as easy as it should have been. This is why Zoom appeared, and most people, or a lot of people, are using Zoom, is because it is easy to use. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, my daughter said as well, Google Hangouts.
Yes, you can do Google Hangouts. Did try that. I did try that around the same time I was trying Skype as an alternative, and that was quite complicated too. Maybe it was just at the time, you've got to remember this was years ago, maybe it was at the time my brain hadn't developed that much technology-wise.
Again, another one just for the list is Microsoft Teams.
Yes, I've heard, yeah.
I attended my first webinar on Teams yesterday, so it's the first time I've had experience with it. So not recommending it, just pointing out that other platforms are available.
There are other platforms, you're right. I was speaking to the guy that fixes all the computery stuff the other day, and he was saying, because I was talking to him about Microsoft Teams, and he said it's all right if you are business people and need a team meeting. If you are working with clients, Helen, he said, I don't think it's probably going to be the right one. It's quite complicated to use, or it can be. And I'm thinking of my 70-year-old client, trying to guide them through joining a meeting, and I'm thinking, oh no, it needs to be simple. But with clients, the easier you can make it, the better it'll be.
Skype has improved a lot. I had to do some stuff today because I've got to give a presentation at the academy, and
Nice.
but they encourage you to use it hardwired. But it is for very big audiences and stuff like that. So it's improved a lot, believe me. And you enter just like a meeting room and all of that, waiting room and all that bizzo. And it's easy to share files. It works well with Outlook 365. So, but it is more like, you know, for a whole workplace of people, I think. I think this is more simple and straightforward.
Okay, so when you set up, you need to get an account. If you haven't already got a Zoom account, then if you're going to work with clients, you will need to have an account. So you can have a free one. And if you've not done it before and you're only working with clients one-on-one, then that's what I would suggest that you do, is get the free one. You can record off that free one. I've read somewhere that you can't, but you can actually. I did a similar meeting a couple of weeks ago with some other therapists, and we did discover that you can actually record on the free meeting. Actually, let's just move that right down. So when you go in, you need to log in, and you'll get this across the top there where it says schedule meeting, join a meeting, host a meeting. Okay, you might have the going to my account bit, and if you do, you click on that and then you'll get this. Okay, so when you're scheduling a meeting, so for this meeting today, I just go into my account, click on my account, and I get this. So then I click on schedule a meeting, and it comes up with this here that you're looking at now. So I put in the person's name so that I know which meeting that I need to click start on, basically. If you want to put any details in, you can enter that there. This is the date, because you don't have to do this at the time that you need it. You can do these in advance. So all you do is click on the date calendar there and set the right date and the right time here. However long that you think the meeting might be for, you click on the drop down menu and just select a time. That being said, I'm pretty sure it doesn't generally throw you out once you've had your hour, regardless of whether you've finished or not. I seem to think I've done several hours over Zoom on a 1 hour duration. But we'll see. I don't generally tick these. I tick registration for big groups like yourselves, because it's what it does is, if you tick registration, they automatically get a link to that meeting. I'm not sure if they do now, but you used to get reminders that the meeting was about to start. So if you're doing groups, I would definitely say to you, tick the required registration button, because it will save you some work. Okay, but if you're doing one-on-one, you don't need to do that.
Just curious to ask anyone here today. I mean, I click the add to Outlook button, so it adds it into my calendar, so I do get a reminder.
Oh, perfect.
Did anybody not do that and still get a reminder? Just curious.
No.
Anybody?
Did you all get reminders?
You, so I don't know.
So say again?
I was just saying I do the same as I don't know if I would get a reminder otherwise.
Right,
I add it to my Outlook.
Okay, okay. Maybe that's what people
I
are
add it
doing.
to my calendar. Yeah.
Okay. So, come on.
I was thinking Sheila was very, very ahead of the game by creating this web page, but Now I realise it's just a Zoom page. She's still ahead of the game, like, give her the credit, but you know what I mean.
I do. I can't seem to get this to move. Oh, there we go. Once you've done that, now you need to tick require meeting password. This is part of the enhanced security with Zoom that they've introduced recently. So what happens is, you see on that, can you see the green bit there? Usually it's right in the left-hand corner, but because I'm sharing a screen, you can see it just here where my cursor is. You've got a padlock that's locked. That tells you that it's secure.
I can't see your cursor. Sorry.
I can't.
There?
Go up the top, just a zoom.us padlock, is that it? Or?
You see at the top, I've got a little green bit that says, gives me an ID and a padlock, and then you might not have that, says stop share.
Yeah.
No.
So when you tick require meeting, you get a password.
Yes.
You can see the password on my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I make a note of that because I haven't quite discovered yet whether it actually sends it or not, just so that if somebody asks me, I put that underneath their name in my diary, the password number. And when I send them their invite, I say, this is the password. If you need it, like I did on the Facebook group this morning, if you need it. Now, sometimes it does it automatically for people, but there have been some occasions where I've been asked for it, which is why I send it as a matter of course anyway. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That's to keep it secure, so that just nobody that's not invited cannot attend, basically. Underneath that, you've got the video. If you don't want people to have video on when they join, you click the buttons off here. You need to have yours clicked on. I always click participants on, so that when everybody joins, you can see their faces, unless they've crossed it themselves. Some people don't want to be seen, and that's fine, but if I'm going to be working with them, I need to see them. I was working with somebody a while ago, a therapist actually, and we were having exactly the same conversation. I said, oh, can you just unclick your video camera so I can see you? She says, no, I don't like to be seen. Oh, okay.
Really?
How's that going to work over Zoom then? Do you not like your clients to see you? That did make me wonder.
I wouldn't want to work with someone like that.
Yeah, that was the first thing that ran through my mind is okay. Some things you have to let go. It's a personal choice, isn't it? The audio, I would click computer audio, join computer audio. I used to click both. You can click both, and you'll probably get a choice that comes up when you join the meeting. You'll get a choice that comes up, or when you start the meeting, there'll be a screen that says, do you want to join by computer audio? So I always end up clicking that anyway, so just click that one now. Down here, you don't want people to join before you. You want to be the first one to join because you are controlling the meeting. So I never click that one. That one I never do. You can mute people on entry. Don't generally do that one either myself, to be honest. But what I do is enable the waiting room if there's a few people joining. And that again is to make sure it makes it easier if you've got people in the waiting room, because sometimes people will try and join before you're ready to join. That being said, if you haven't started the meeting, nobody can join anyway. But if you put them in a waiting room, they know that that the meeting is about to start, that it hasn't been cancelled. It's not that they've missed it. At the bottom, there's a record the meeting automatically. Perhaps I should have pressed that one earlier. So you can do that if you want to, but if you're not going to record the client chat session, the pre-talk, then don't do that. Okay. Don't forget to save at the bottom. When you save, you will then be taken to this. This is the setup really. Now, you've got your password there. Can you see the password?
Yeah.
Sorry, Helen, you missed one of those things about authentic people joining the meeting. It's gone off the screen now.
Yes, you can tick that if you want to. That will just mean that people that you've invited will be able to join.
Oh yeah, that's what I would definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you've got your invite here. You can copy the invitation and it will come up with quite a big screen with a lot of links on it for different things. Knowing how easy it is for people to get confused with lots of different links, is this mine, is that mine, do I need to click this one, do I need to click that one? What I do now and have done for a long time is to highlight this bit only, copy it and then paste it into an email so that they only have the one link to click. I've never had trouble with doing that. But when you click the copy the invitation, do it once and see, and you'll see what I mean. You get a lot of different links for different computers and this, that, and the other. I've never had a problem just copying that link and pasting it in. Again, you've got your video. It tells you whether your video is on or off, computer audio. And that is just how you set up a meeting and then invite the client. That's it. When you are ready to go to the meeting, so the day and the time of the meeting has arrived or just before that, you go back into your account here. You will see down the side, you've got profile, meetings, webinars, recordings, Go to meetings. If you click on meetings, you will go to this page where you see all the different meetings that you've set up listed. You just go to yours, whichever one it is, and click start. Once you've done that, that's it. You just see you'll get another window open with your video on. It's usually a small strip. You just click the enter full screen in the right hand corner, it is usually, and you'll just go to expansion. And that is literally it. That is all you do. Any questions?
Sounds good.
No? Cool. So now before the meeting, because you need to set up a load of bits first before, well, not a load, you need to set up a few things first. Unless you know the client really well, I would get payment before the session. Especially if it's a new client and you don't know them well enough. But it is usual to get payment before the session. So you're going to have to send them initial consultation forms that they fill in so that you've got their background details for your information, for your insurance purposes, so that you know a little bit about them, and a bit about their history. You've got their contact details, all that kind of thing. So send them an invoice so that they can pay you straight into your bank before the meeting. Okay. You also need to send them the invite that we've just talked about sending, but do that on a separate email. Send that invite with that link on the day of the meeting, not days before, because it will get lost in the mountain of emails in the inbox and you'll only end up having to do it again, or they'll miss the session. So only do it in the morning. I set out in the morning, I check who I've got, well, I check the night before who I've got in, and I send out those email invites with the link on the first thing in the morning for that day so that people don't lose it. Okay. And that's partly because I know how many emails I get myself, and I know how easily I lose stuff in emails sometimes. Now, confidentiality and safety we need to keep in mind at all times. It is no different to being in your practice, in a room in your practice, which is one of the reasons why I said to you at the beginning about being able to see the client, because you can see their environment so that when they've got their eyes closed, you can still make sure that they are safe, Because if something is happening behind them that they need to be aware of, you can tell them straight away to wake up, open your eyes, you need to sort out this issue. Yeah. Now, confidentiality reasons, what I do with my clients is to use headphones, and I tell them to do the same thing, because it cuts down on people overhearing conversation. So, and apart from the fact that it also cuts down on background noise that may be going on, because at the moment we might be able to control the room we're in. We can't necessarily control the rest of the house if there are other people in the house, or what people are doing outside, and neighbours cutting the grass or sanding something down because they've decided to do a bit of DIY at the moment and all that kind of thing. So there are still parts of the environment that we cannot control. So by using earphones, you are making that as good as you can get it, by cutting down on background noise, but also cutting down on other people being able to hear parts of the conversation. If somebody overhears you or part of what you're saying, they're only going to hear your side of a conversation, not the whole thing. And the other side, from the client's point of view, you know, I guess it's up to them what they tell you, and you can't necessarily control their environment, but you can control it as much as possible. Okay?
Just a question on that, and maybe we're going to come on to it later. Just in terms of framing the client, you know, I agree with you. I like doing, obviously, in person's better, because you can see the little hand twitches or even the little leg kicks now and then. And obviously you're going to lose a lot of that, even if, you know, I have my hand in my laps, but on my fingers or anything, you can't see that from here. So, you know, do you direct them to say, look, I'd like to see a decent, you know, body shot off you?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
And again, with that in mind, you know, headphones might not be able to stretch, or how
I know it can be a little bit of a logistical thing, but you need to get your client to maneuver into a position that you are comfortable working with. If they can't or don't want to use headphones, then that's absolutely fine. You have to go with that.
Yeah.
It is just a suggestion to try and make everything as confidential as absolutely possible, the same as we would do in a face-to-face meeting in the room, so to speak. But yeah, you're right. If you want them to move back, all you need to do is just tell them just to move back a little bit so I can see your hands. I need to see your hands on your lap, so you might need to just move your camera a little bit. So you can get them to move around until you're comfortable with where they are.
Helen, when do you tell them? Do you tell them in this intro email? Make sure that you have some earphones. Do you tell them about the technology? Where do you tell them about that? What you need for the session. Sorry,
okay. I will usually say to them, sometimes I remember to say to email, when I email them, say, you know, just make sure that you've got a good internet connection and a set of headphones or earplugs, you know, the earphones.
Yeah, like the Apple thing. Yeah.
Sometimes I completely forget, to be perfectly honest, but you can say that. But what I will say is, don't tell them too much about the technology until you can actually physically talk to them. Don't tell them too much over email, because otherwise they get a bit confused. It is definitely a case of one step at a time, and keep it to 1 or 2 actions at a time, because otherwise if you give them too many, they may get a bit lost, and that's what we don't want. We don't want them to think that this is going to be complicated and they can't do it, because they can. It's just, it is very simple to do. We just need to guide them through it step by step. Okay. Now, everybody does need to have a good internet connection. That is a bit of a tricky issue at the moment, because some internet connections are not necessarily brilliant. Because of the amount of usage that's going on at the moment. But you do need to have a backup plan.
Again, another question back almost to the whether it's the invite and you're saying about limiting the technology. I'm guessing it's better to have, just in terms of so that the phone doesn't slide down the table halfway through the session. It's better that they have a laptop or a sturdy mount for it. Do you guide them on that, or just fingers crossed there's going to be good technology? Or
well, no. What I normally, one of the things that when you could take a step back before you book the meeting for a call, a video call. One of the things that I say to them is you need to either be on a computer, a laptop, or an iPad. If you've got one of those things, that's absolutely fine. If they don't have any of it and all they've got is a phone, then you can still do it off a phone. I have done that recently with somebody on a phone, and it does work, it's fine. It's not my ideal answer because I don't get such a wide picture, but it still works enough for you to be able to do it over the phone. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah? So, but you sort that out before you actually book the appointment, so that they are clear that they've got the equipment that they need to be able to access online sessions.
Yeah, it's about setting up the expectation.
It is.
From the client and the therapist. Yeah.
Sure. And it is definitely, by doing that, you are starting to guide them in the process of working online step by step. Now, if they are using a phone or an iPad or other kind of tablet, they will need to download the Zoom app. So you will need to get them to download that app. On a computer, it's different. A laptop seems to be different too. But on a tablet or an iPad or a phone, they need to download the app. Once they've done that, you're plain sailing. And that again is free. They don't need to pay for that. Okay?
Good stuff.
Yeah? So make sure that you have, this is your backup plan. You need to make sure that your client has your phone number to contact you if they have any problems. And you need to make sure that you have your phone with you where you can see it. Now, I usually stick mine all on silent, which actually didn't really work brilliantly well for me last week because my phone was ringing and I'm thinking, where's this client? And I hadn't noticed that my phone was ringing because I'd stuck it on silent, because that's what you do automatically. That's what I do automatically when I start working with a client. It suddenly dawned on me I was being an idiot. So if it's the first time, don't stick your phone on silent until they're connected and you can see and hear each other. And then you can put it on silent. After the first time, it's a lot easier. Okay, so that because you might have to, with some clients, you might have to physically have them on the phone while you can see them on the screen and talk them through unmuting, because sometimes that seems to be the one for some of them, is that when they join in, you can see them, but they can't hear you. Now, what I've discovered happens, and I had to do this with a client of mine that's in his late 60s, early 70s, and didn't want to miss his sessions. I said, well, we'll have to do this over the internet. So I talked him through the iPad stuff. And I said, I tell you what, we'll have a practice run. So Sunday morning, we're having a practice run on joining the meeting over the iPad, which was a really good move because there were a few little hiccups along the way. And I actually had to get my own iPad, because I'm saying to him, it's at the bottom. You need to click on the bottom. He's going, there's nothing at the bottom. So I had to click on my own iPad, join the meeting from my iPad to see exactly what he was seeing. And it is slightly different to what you see on a computer, which is a good lesson for me. Because what he was getting was, when he was clicking the button to join, it comes up with a little box with a question in. Do you join internet audio? And he wasn't clicking that. He was going, no, that's what you need to click. Is join in. I'm pretty sure it says join internet audio. Yeah. I actually took a photo so that I could send it to him to show him what he had to click. So you know, be aware that sometimes with some clients you might need to actually physically take a picture and then turn the picture around on the screen so they can actually see what you're looking at, what you actually mean.
I was just scribbling something quickly. I probably can't even read it because it's on only pen, but a little nice computer printed picture of, you know, press the, am I pointing to the right corner for you guys?
Yeah.
Press the unmute button, a little sign like that there, just to hold up to the camera for the, might see
Good
it.
idea.
Might help as well, belt and braces.
Yeah, so you know, there's lots of little tricks that you will learn along the way to do. So once he clicked that button, we were plain sailing. It was great. So when it came time for his session, he was feeling more confident because he knew exactly what he needed to do. So it may be that with some clients you have to rehearse them through, practice them first. But just be aware that all their toolbar is at the top on an iPad, or I'm assuming it's going to be the same for a tablet. The toolbar is at the top, not the bottom. So I'm telling him to look at the bottom in the left-hand corner, and his is at the top. So just be aware of that. Now, if they freeze and you are doing your hypnosis, carry on. Don't stop. All right? Because they might be able to hear you, and they will likely unfreeze and carry on. Okay? And one of the other reasons for that is if you are recording, which I would be, if you are recording, you don't need that gap in the hypnosis because you might lose them altogether. Okay, I had this happen a while ago. I think it was last week, or it might be a couple of weeks ago actually. Towards the end of the hypnosis part of the session, the client had dropped out, and it was within about 3 or 4 minutes of the actual hypnosis part ending. So I carried on and finished, stopped the recording, and she couldn't get back on. There was an issue her end with her internet connection. So what I did was I then called her, finished the meeting off over a phone call because it was just really wrapping up, and then sent her the recording that I'd just done. Because if I had to try and redo that recording, it wouldn't have come out the same. Unless you're working strictly to a script, you're not going to get it the same the next time. So I was then able to send her recording so that she could hear what the last bit of it at the end.
What was her reaction when she couldn't hear you anymore? Did she, you know, people say, oh, I don't know, I know you can't get frozen in hypnosis, but what did she think about it? Was she cool about it? Or?
Yeah, nothing really, as long as you tell them, because what you need to do is to go through this with them. If you freeze, if your computer freezes, then if we're doing hypnosis, you'll just be able to open your eyes, sort it out. Zoom quite often rejoins you. Quite often you don't need to do anything. It will try and rejoin you. If they lose connection altogether, they need to go back to the email and rejoin through the email link that you sent them. Okay. But generally speaking, if that happens, people are very understanding. You know, you just need to, if you're having part of the conversation, you just need to recap what you were saying and go back over it. That's all. If you lose connection, then just wait a second, because like I say, we'll try to rejoin you. Yeah. I was doing, on a Monday night, I host a meditation group with some friends of mine. And you know, I think we've done 4 now, and we're getting really good at it now. We're getting spot on. But that was with one of the participants is quite elderly. Well, she'd kill me if she heard me say that. She's in her, I'm pretty sure she's in her 70s, somewhere along the line. So I had to have a practice with her and go through it with her. But we're all getting really good at it now. But on the second week, my internet connection wasn't great at first when we first went into lockdown. It seems to have improved a lot now. But I dropped out. So And I didn't actually end the meeting, I just left it. My computer just dropped out altogether, but the actual meeting carried on. The others could still see each other and actually finish the meeting off. It was only about 5 minutes from the end, but they just finished each other off, finished it off, and then disappeared out of the meeting when they were ready. So it still worked.
I think it's a good idea, Helen. I mean, I know I do it. You probably all do yourself. Obviously in the pre-talk is just setting them up for success.
Yeah.
So just going through each little pitfall that may happen.
Yeah.
And just reassuring them constantly that they're going to be safe no matter what happens. You'll be able to open your eyes.
Yeah.
Come back to the room and just setting them up for success all along the way. Yeah, in the pre-talk. Yeah.
And it's about covering as many bases as you can.
Yeah.
Before you actually do that session, that hypnosis part of the session. And as I said to you earlier, you start that whole process once somebody has said, yeah, I'd like to have a session with you over online. Then you start bit by bit leading them through this whole process. Don't bombard them with it all in one go, because it's too much information. You need to do it bit by bit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Can I ask something?
the keyboard's not working brilliant. It's not playing with me very well today. I was going to go on to the next slide. Ah, there we go. So now I always record the hypnosis sessions. Now this is very, very simple to do. You can record it on Zoom. All you need to do is click the record button. You can do that. That is not an issue, and I've done that many times before. I just haven't done it recently. One of the things that I do get my clients to do when they come and see me face to face in a room, you always get them to get their phone out, find the voice memos or voice recorder, and I have that sat near me in front of me, and I record the hypnosis part of the session straight onto their phone. Now, obviously, when we're working over the internet, then you're not going to be able to do that. So what I do get them to do is to get their phone out. And this is where it makes it a bit tricky if they're actually watching it on the phone. So I suspect that I'd have to have a play with that. I've not actually tried getting them to record it on their phone as well as listening to it on the phone. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to do that. I'd have to try it and see. So I get them to put their phone close to the speaker, or whether, you know what a phone you've got well, on my iPhone, it's at the bottom, you've got all the little dots. You see that, all the little dots? That's the speaker. So I get them to put their phone close to the speaker on whatever device they're using, and then press record when we're ready to go. Okay. However, I also make sure that I'm recording it on my phone and on my other device. I have a proper Zoom recorder that I can plug my headset into, and I record it on that as well. So I've actually got 2 copies of their recording. Okay, so that if there's a problem their side, or if they drop out and they lose connection so they can't hear me at all, I can still say it's fine. I've still got a copy of the recording. You can have that and send it to them. I had a client I was working with yesterday, and we were doing brilliantly well. We'd on and off throughout the recording. This is a classic case of not being able to control the whole of the environment. Her neighbour decided that they were going to start sanding some, I don't know, piece of wood down, something or other. They were making horrendous noise. Now, it didn't bother me because I could hear it in the background, but it was more of an annoyance for me. And when we finished, I said to her, what was that noise? And she said, I think it was my neighbour. So her phone is likely to have picked up that noise. So what I said to her was, have a listen. If that noise is on there and it's bothering you, let me know straight away, and I will send you the copy that I've got that will not have that sound on it, or shouldn't have that sound on it. So I've done that this morning. I've sent it to her this morning because she did text me this morning to say, do you want that? Can you send me that copy because it's annoying? So hopefully it should be okay, the one I've done. If not, I then go to my second backup on my Zoom recorder, and that is a lot more technical because I need to take it off there, plug it into my computer, edit out the sounds. There's a lot of editing going to be needed, or some editing will be needed. We're going to edit out the sounds so that she's got a clean recording, but that takes a bit more time. Does that all make sense?
Sorry, what is a proper Zoom recorder?
I tell you what, can I show you? Remind me once I finish the slides, because I'd need to show you. It's a little device that you set up that just records. It's a voice recorder.
It's one like this here.
I can't, hang on.
Oh. It's just, it's called Zoom. It's called Zoom because that's the brand name of the, yeah. It's nothing to do with Zoom, the video conferencing.
That's the one I've got. Is that the
4?
Yes, that's the one I've got.
Yeah.
You can plug headphones into that, so you can both have a headset, so they can actually hear you right inside their ears. So if you're in a noisy environment like a clinic, like I often am, I can't. You ask people to be quiet, and some can be quiet and some can't. So you can't always control the outside environment. But if they've got headphones on, then the background noise diminishes even more. So it makes it easier. And they love it that you're in their heads, which is great.
Do you use yours a lot, Sharon?
Frankly, I never use it for sessions.
Oh, you should.
Okay.
I'm using it now for the interface to the microphone.
Right.
For cleaner signal. And I use it for doing the YouTube videos. But I've never used it. I do record. I've actually got a simpler dictaphone just because it's less imposing sitting on the table. So I do record the sessions, and I record the whole session.
Ah, right, okay.
Just in terms of, again,
I do too.
Being a male working with a lot of female clients, I want to make sure.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I can see the sense in that. Yeah.
Awesome.
But I don't cut out the at the moment. I'm just considering it now. You're talking about it so much. I don't usually ever send the hypnosis part to them.
The reason why I give my clients, every single one of my clients gets a recording from every session that we do, because by doing that they progress much quicker.
Yeah.
Because you are backing up and embedding every time they listen to it. Now I tell mine they've got to listen to it every day. They don't always, and I'm not going to beat them up about it if they don't. It's their choice at the end of the day. But my advice is that you listen to that every day. You find half an hour to sit back. The recording's on half an hour, but it gives them plenty of wriggle time. They need 15-20 minutes to sit back, listen to a recording, because that helps them to progress much quicker, and it really does help the embedding of the work you've just done, so that when they come back to you next time, they are ready, providing they've done everything you ask, they are ready to take the next step, whichever direction you think they need to go in. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm just, again, we can take this offline if it's I occasionally use regression to cause, so I wouldn't probably want to give it that session out.
I'm not saying you should do that with every session, but what I do, if there's a session that, and regression is one of those ones that I don't generally record, I will send them something else that will help what I've just done with, that will fit in nicely with that. Because like you say, there are some things you don't want them to keep going over and over again. So it's not necessarily not 100% of recordings. It's sort of 99% of recordings I will do that with. Ones like that, I do exactly what you've just said. I don't record that unless I want it for myself for some reason, but I will send them something else that backs up what we've done, that work.
Perfect.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So, but getting them to record it on their phone saves you so much work.
Yeah.
And of course they love it because it doesn't matter where they are, they're going to have that phone with them, so they've got no excuse. And this was one of the reasons why I started doing it, apart from the fact that people were starting to come in my clinic going, well, I don't have anything to play a disc on anymore, so I couldn't. The CDs were on the way out completely. So I just get them to get their phone out and find, and that's another thing, some people you have to train where to find it, especially the older clients, where to find it, and I just record it straight onto their phone. And they love it because they've got it and they can walk away. They can take it on holiday, and people do take it on holiday, they do listen to it on holiday, they do all sorts with it. So, and that works really well. And to be fair, that just solidified a lot of things for a lot of people. And of course, that adds to your reputation as well, because it's added value. Yeah. You will find, if you ask around, that not all therapists do that. There's a lot of therapists that just do the session and then don't give them anything to back it up with in between. And sometimes you've got to be careful with that, because it tends to, depends on what issue they're coming to you for, but it can lengthen the process. If you're not careful, it can lengthen the process of change. I mean, some change will be quick and instant, but there again, some change, if it's not backed up regularly, it takes longer to change. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah.
Another thing is as well, Helen, going back to the phones, if they don't have that recording facility, you can do it and just airdrop it to them immediately on the phone. It's just simple as.
Well, yes, you can, but no, I sit there and I go, right, okay, download this app then.
Yeah. You will do this.
I do. In fact, what I tell them before, you see, my intake process goes along the lines of people get in touch with me, and as quickly as possible, I get them to book in for a one-to-one free chat. Yeah. On that one-to-one free chat, I explain this to them, and I say to them, you need to find that app on your phone, because we'll record it straight onto your phone so that you've got it no matter where you are, you've got it with you. So they then typically get the phone out and start looking through it, and I go, oh look, there it is, look. And if they haven't got it, I go, oh, you need to download that. You need to download a voice recorder before you come and see me then. And they do. Yeah. I've had people.
And then they've learned something as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But they like it because they're getting something else as well. It's extra value. Right. And it helps to increase your success rate, their participation, because you are giving them something. You're making them take responsibility as well for their own progress. Okay. Before you start, you need to check that they are safe, that they feel safe. And that is as simple as saying to them, are you in the house on your own? If they are, get them to check that the doors are secure or locked, so that they know nobody can walk in on them, so that they feel safe and secure. And it might be that you actually mentally get them to check every single room, whatever it is that is right for them, but you need to make sure that they feel safe. Okay. Now, this is the other bit that you need to say in your pre-talk, and I think it was you, Patricia, mentioned this earlier. When you are doing the induction, as part of that induction, you need to add in, and if an emergency occurs, if something happens that needs your immediate attention, you'll be able to open your eyes, be wide awake, fully alert, calm, and deal with that situation in an appropriate manner, so that you are covering that eventuality. So if something did happen, if I don't know, let's say a smoke alarm went off, they would come out anyway, but that's another added security, that they're going to just come out, open their eyes, they can deal with it calmly, and then if they want to, they can then go back into hypnosis. If not, they can listen to the recording later. Okay? So that you are covering that base, because this is about covering all the options as well. As we talked about before, making sure that you've got a good view of your client. And as we mentioned, make sure that you can see as much of them as you want to see. So if they are not in a position that you are comfortable with, you need to tell them to move. You need to say to them what you want to be able to see, because they're not going to be able to read your mind. If we don't tell them, they won't know. Okay? Go over with them what we talked about a minute ago about what to do if they lose connection. If you lose connection and you can't get it back, you can't restart, because if you lose connection and it doesn't automatically take you back in, go back to the Zoom where you clicked start on the Zoom and click start again and restart. Okay, that should take you back in to the meeting. All right, if that fails and everything completely falls apart, then just call the client. Depending on how far you've got through the session, I would then say, look, let's redo this session either tomorrow or later on or another day. And I probably wouldn't charge them for that either, but that is a personal choice. That's worst case scenario. Touch wood, I've never had to do that. But, you know, it's always good to know what to do just in case, okay? Yep, we've covered that one. I must have got that one in twice. Don't forget to use your headphones, which we've talked about before. Regression is the one thing that is not advisable to do over the internet, purely from an abreaction point of view. Because if they have an abreaction or a massive abreaction, you are not physically there to help them through that. Okay, so that's the one thing that is recommended. Certainly when I first started doing Skype, was recommended that you do not do over the internet. Other people may have different points of view. It has to be a personal choice at the end of the day. It's always a personal choice. Taran, do you do any regression over the internet with your clients?
No, I've only started in the last 2 or 3 weeks to do Zoom calls. I've done
Right, okay.
odd one over the years, but really, so no, I haven't used regression. And I understand what your point of view. There is that bit of a struggle where, you know, sometimes just first thing comes to mind is this person needs to go back, you know. But yes, yeah, I tend to agree with you on just being careful. I've again maybe a separate topic for discussion in terms of abreactions. I've had, and again I do the straight hypnosis as well. I've had a few abreactions just doing fun skits, nothing to do with regression. I know somewhere along the way that's probably triggered a past experience.
Yeah.
So even a suggestion can trigger an abreaction.
Can. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be regression. That's the only thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think the thing
I've done some, Helen.
Well, over the internet?
Yeah. I do a trauma therapy process, which is made up of 3 sessions, and yeah, I've done regression, and it's been absolutely fine with no abreaction. And if they do, I'm closely watching them anyway.
Right. Okay.
Very, very closely watching them, and I can monitor it, and I can keep reminding them of their safety, and you know, all that. Just constantly remind them of they're safe. That I'm here with them. I've got you. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, I don't recommend it, but I've done it. And it's been fine.
I think one of the main things that we need to bear in mind is that we need to make sure that we know they're safe place for them, a place that they find comfortable. And I know with my clients, that's one of the things that I tend to ask them on that first session is what kind of a place do they like to go to feel calm and relaxed. And I think when we're working over the internet, especially when you suspect that that person may very well react in some way, is just reminding them that before we do this, you know, if you feel uncomfortable at all, just remember that you are watching from a distance. You are safe and you are comfortable. And that's one of the things that I reinforce a lot, especially over the internet, is that you are safe and secure. You are protected here. And I think we kind of need to bear that in mind when we're working over the internet more, because some people are very vulnerable, is just to remind them that they are safe and that we've got them, and they can go to that safe place at any point and just observe. Just be a watcher, just be safe. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, Mike. This is one of the other things that when we're going back to the recording, if you have Dropbox, you can set up give them their own folder in Dropbox and upload their recording to Dropbox and then file share with them. That's another way of getting the recording to them, because these recordings tend to be too big to email. That being said, you can also use WeTransfer.
Yeah.
Now, WeTransfer is very good. It's free. Well, yeah, the one I use is free. The only thing is there are some restrictions. So you can send them recordings over WeTransfer. They're small enough to send over, or you get a big enough allowance. The only thing with it is some phones will only use the link. iPhones in particular can be quite bad for that. It doesn't actually download the recording to the phone. Android phones have a more tendency to do that, to download the recording to the phone. So if they've got an iPhone, they may lose it after 7 days, because after 7 days, WeTransfer disables that link, so they lose the recording. Those are the two things that you need to bear in mind with WeTransfer.
If they have the WeTransfer app, then I have some people who just put them in a little folder. And
right, okay.
So the WeTransfer is there because it's free anyway, and then they can just keep them in there. Because I use WeTransfer.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I use a Tascam stereo usually.
Right.
I'm actually thinking I could record it with my Tascam as well, couldn't I?
Yeah.
And go and put some music on it for them even as well.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention. Music. Somebody mentioned music to me.
See, I mentioned the music. Yeah.
Music is very simple. I had a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago about how on earth do you manage to add music. I went, just use your iPod. I just stick that on, or off your computer. You just click play and play the music as well, like you would do if you were sat in your office, in your clinic.
So would you upload that to Zoom to have it all prepared?
No, you're way too complicated, Patricia.
I like an easy life.
Absolutely. This is the one I use in my clinic. This is a very old iPad now, iPod. I open my iPod, I find my music, I stand it near to the microphone, not too close because I don't want that to drown out what I'm saying, but I stand it near to the microphone and just literally click play and then carry on.
In the background. Okay.
It's in the background. Yeah. That's all you need to do.
Are you using your current phone or an old phone just as a player?
This is an iPod. It's an old iPod that I actually bought.
I'm too young to know what that you mean there, but anyway.
It's an ancient device we had many years ago that I bought with my Sainsbury's points from Argos. So, I store my music on there because that was what I did years ago. That's all I do.
Yeah, my point was to just point out if you're using your current phone, make sure you have it, all the settings so you don't get a phone call or a...
Yes, that's the other thing you need to do when people are using their own phone to record on, and you just need to do this yourself. Before you record, get them to put it on airplane mode. And you need to do the same, because otherwise, if you get a call, it will stop the recording, and I can guarantee you will not notice. And if it's their phone, the screen is likely to have locked, and unless you know the passcode, you are not likely to be able to get back in to set it recording again. So you must do that. I've got cut out a few times that one. Again,
another thing I've come across is not really about the recordings, but it's probably all connected to the same thing. Things I've forgotten to do in the past, because these days a lot of people have their smart watches, so they've turned the phone off, but then their wrist starts to vibrate or ping or whatever. So
yes,
again, it's about making sure all that technology is taken care of.
Yeah, hadn't thought about that one. Probably because I haven't been aware of anybody having one.
I wear mine all the time. It might vibrate, but it doesn't ping or anything like that. So, yeah.
Transcription software. Now, Amanda's had to leave. I'm guessing what she means is, no, I'm the transcription software. You can, she's asking about transcription
software.
But
I've got to go.
Are you still here?
I've got to go really soon, sorry.
Right, Amanda, what do you mean by transcription software?
Oh, you talked right at the beginning about, I listen to something and then I transcribe it. And I went, oh, do you use transcription software? That I just wondered if you did, what it was.
You can. The most reliable one I have found for accuracy, but is probably one of the more expensive ones, is rev.com.
Right.
And that usually comes back within an hour or two, and it's usually not 100% accurate, but it's usually about 90%, 98, 99% accurate. You can go for their cheaper version. Sorry?
Yeah, you send it off.
Yeah, you have to upload the voice, whatever it is that you want transcribing, and then they'll do it for you and send it back. If I want something done quickly, then I'll use that. But they do an automated version, but the mistakes are a lot more. And I found it harder to then go through and go, what was that? What was it talking about Lucy for? There wasn't a Lucy in the room, so what's that mean? There's some weird translations with that one. So I tend to stay away from those ones until they improve them enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll thank Karina for demonstrating how we don't want our clients to sit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Just slang.
Yeah.
Just joking with you. No.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay, so marketing purposes, we can do all the stuff that Sheila is telling us about. Because people are still looking for us right now. Okay, let's just go on to the questions. Shirley, you as host, you have control over the meeting. I think we said this right at the very beginning. So you're the only one person can record, and it's got to be you. You don't want the client recording. If you're recording the hypnosis part to send them to them, when you end the meeting, that's when the computer will compile all the recording. Okay, won't do it till you've ended the meeting. You will then get 3 recordings. You will get playback, audio, and you'll get Zoom, which is the actual video. You only want them to listen to the recording, so I only ever send them or upload to Dropbox the audio version. They don't need to see what you were doing while you were doing the hypnosis, because if they're watching you, they might get distracted, and they might be too focused on watching you rather than doing what they should be doing, sitting back, closing their eyes, might be going, oh, look at how I look. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Oh, what's happened in the background then? Oh look, she's having a chew on a toffee there. I wonder why she's doing that then. You don't want any of that, which is why I just send the audio version. Okay. Music we've just covered. I knew somebody had said something about music. Music we've just covered. You can do that. You can have it on your computer, whatever works for you. Okay. I think it was mentioned about having you on the spotlight. Now, the easy way to do that, as you're the host, if you go to the top where you've got the 3 dots, you click on the 3 dots, and you get a list of different things. One of them says pin video. If you click pin video, you will be pinned right in the screen. So when other people talk, you stay there. You don't disappear. Okay? Because what typically happens is if there's 2 of you, it ping pongs back and forth. And if you're recording it for a specific reason, like several years ago, I did a workshop on, what was it on? Dream boards. It was on basically planning and doing goal setting and visualization and all that kind of stuff. So it went about making dream boards as well. And I hadn't discovered at that point, I was new to Zoom, so I hadn't discovered that there was a pin the post thing. So I was working with this lady over with this, and she came into the meeting, she popped up on the screen, and I could not get rid of her off the screen. Oh. And her husband walked in, and I thought, oh, for God's sake. It must have been one of the first ones that I actually did. And the dog walked in. He's carrying a tray of food. I was like, oh, for crying out loud.
Oh dear.
So I thought, I can't use this. I'm going to have to record this separately. So once I'd finished the meeting, I rang Sheila and went, oh my God, you'll never guess what's just happened. She went, Helen, it was so easy. I said, why? What did I do? She went, you just needed to pin the post. I was like, oh no. So now I make sure if I'm doing something like that, I pin the post. Not because I like to see me there, but because it cuts out what everybody else is doing, because I can control my own behaviour, not what everybody else is doing. You get the password meeting, as we talked about before. Now, this is another thing that somebody mentioned to me that is a good idea, especially if you're doing, I think it's another level of security. Once you have started the meeting, when you go to, you know where you've got the video camera, if you, next to it, you've got a security button, the shield. If you click on that, you get, can you see what's coming up on my screen?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. If you click on the security button, in fact, you could probably all do that now. Find the security button on your toolbar. Okay, and it comes up. Now on mine, right at the very top, it says lock meeting. If I click on that now, which I've just done, it means that nobody else can join in the meeting or jump into the meeting.
I can't find a security button anywhere.
It's a shield.
Might be because you're the host.
It might be. It might be because I'm the host. It's a shield. It's an old-fashioned, what's it, shield. And it says security underneath it. Okay. So all you need to do, in fact, actually, I wonder if I could do this.
I haven't got that either, the security.
Right, let me finish. No, it might be because I'm the host.
Okay.
I've got a little thing with I in it. I've got a padlock, and then I've got a red button at the top.
Yeah, same.
That tells you that that tells you that the security is secure. The site is secure. The red dot is because I'm recording it.
Can you can screenshot and then share the image of the screenshot.
Good point. Hang on. Right. Okay.
Power of technology.
Oh yeah, but now we're coming to the complicated bit for me. I don't know where it saved it to.
It'll share it in pictures. Well, it depends on what you're on Windows.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to do this an easier way. Well, not an easier way, but a different way. This is my technophobe bit coming out. You will see. Can you see there? Look.
Yeah.
You've got security, and then underneath you've got lock meeting. That's what you click, and that blocks anybody else from joining the meeting. So if you are talking something very sensitive, or you want to make sure that your clients are even more secure, then that's what you do. Okay, that option is available, and I think that's a recent addition because I don't seem to remember seeing it before, so it might be a recent addition. So that is one thing that you can do. That prevents anybody joining, so it does make your meeting just between the two of you. Okay? And I think that is it.
So before you go, yeah, Helen, you know the background that you've got, can you just go through that, how you can get the virtual background? Yeah.
It's there now.
There you are.
Okay. So
Yes.
if you go to the video, in the bottom left hand corner you've got your video. At the side of it you've got an arrow. Click on the arrow.
Yeah.
And then you get choose virtual background.
Yeah, got that.
So click on that.
Yeah.
and you should get some choices.
No, mine says none. N-O-N-E in a black box.
Yeah, you need to add. See at the side, there's to the right hand side where it says choose virtual background, and then you've got like a square button with a plus in it. You add an image, so you have to add your own images.
Oh, so they don't have they don't have generic ones, do they?
No, actually there are. I find that because I've got the now video, the moving one. And I didn't have that when somebody first explained it to me, and then I upgraded to the latest version. So just check for.
Oh, that's probably what I've not done then.
there's about 3 or 4 standard stills, and then 2 video backgrounds, either this palm trees.
See,
or the.
My web guide did this one for me. This fits in, or will fit in, with the new website. My website is being redeveloped at the moment. And this is going to be on the front page of my new website. So he's put that on with my contact details on, because it looks a lot better than what's actually behind me. But
well, this is brilliant. I'm so happy now. You don't have to look at my boxes anymore. It's just like, yay!
I can have this one too. Look, that's my garden. I'm in the way there. Look, you can see a big bubble in there. There you go.
Have you taken images and then just uploaded them?
Yeah, I took them on my phone last summer. I was playing in the garden with my granddaughter, so I thought, oh, they'll come in. I can sit over here now, look. But what you might need to do, I've had to do this, is put a green screen at the back.
Well, I moved my office around, because apparently if you just got a plain white wall, it works.
Well, try it and see. Right? But if it doesn't,
it won't let me do it because there's no images there. There's nothing there.
Number one, aside from not having images, you probably don't have some of the security features if you don't have the latest version. So do upgrade even if you don't want.
Oh, so I've got to upgrade before I can get that feature.
Or I can have, I can have a flower now. That was I don't like that one. Yeah. Oh, that's my pearl of wisdom. My husband thought I needed that a while ago.
Don't we all?
Oh yeah, most definitely. There you go.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Yeah. Who's going?
Go for
it. You know, like, so for most of this meeting, you've been doing screen share, so that's fine. Normally on the left side, there's an icon where you can switch to gallery and you can see everybody, or you can just switch to speaker and you can see just the one person. But sometimes, like when we're on Sheila's meetings, you know, I can only see some of the people. I can't see everybody. Is there any way that you can change that?
It depends how many people are on the meeting, because you can only physically get so much on your screen. You'll find what I do with Sheila's meeting is while everybody's talking and while she's talking, every now and again, if you put your cursor to about the middle of the right hand side, if there's any more people, if there's another screen, it'll come up with a little blue arrow. So I click on that and just have a flip through and see who else is on the meeting. So it moves the screen across. So you see who else is there. But it does depend how many people are on the meeting.
There is the web interface. So outside of the tool, but inside the web interface, there is a tick box which allows you to, I think, get up to 50 people on the screen at the same time. I had to tick that because I was getting like 20 people and had to scroll to see what the other 20. And then I ticked the little box on for Sheila's where there's about 50 people. I was able to get everyone on the screen at the same time. So look around the web interface for Zoom as well.
Yeah, you can check all the settings and everything and see if you can change it. I suspect the responsibility is down to the host, whoever's hosting, to set those parameters. I know. I seem to think. I actually counted them the other day on Monday, and I think Sheila had something like 25 on each screen. If we'd have had it more, like Chiran was just saying, you come out really tiny, so it's weighing up the benefits, isn't it?
What's it? I got a big screen. So, just on the topic of go back to sessions, just something I learned last week. I'll just say the phrase, remember, we're looking at a three-dimensional picture.
I missed that then.
I missed it. Can you say it again, please?
I was working with a client last week. I was saying the phrase, just remember you're looking at a two-dimensional picture. I assumed he was leaning back because most people I was working with was leaning back. And halfway through the session, he was tilting like that there. And when he woke up, he said, yeah, I wasn't leaning back. I had worked with him in person, face to face, and so I assumed he knew just to sit back. So remember to tell him to sit back.
Good tip, yeah.
He was okay. He didn't fall totally off screen, but he was like this here, and I went,
It is about making sure that we say the obvious. We take for granted when we're sat with them right in front of us, because
he looked fine. That was my concern. He looking. But you can't tell whether I'm sitting forward or whether I'm leaning back in the chair.
And it is about doing those things, but it is another skill that we are learning to do. That we can easily adapt to, and we're one of those professions that are lucky to be able to adapt in this way, because not all professions within our sector can do that. People like the beauty therapists can't do their work at all. So we are quite lucky. So is there any questions? Does anybody want to ask anything else?
I just wanted to know about putting up the script or something, because I've heard it somewhere that you can have something ready. So if I'm doing a one-on-one with you now, Helen, say it was a new product, just say I was doing your product, which I'm still doing, and I wanted it there just for, I don't read soft scripts one-on-one, but they get good there for them golden nuggets, So I believe there's a way you can put it on the screen and the client can't see it. Does anybody know that?
That's a teleprompter, isn't it?
Some people are using teleprompters, but why do you need to do that?
So I'm not taking my eyes away and...
Yeah, but they're not going to be seeing you, are they?
Well, true. No, they're not.
Have their eyes closed.
Well, I'll answer. I agree with your line of question, Helen, that you probably don't need to. But if I move, I might have got my Outlook. In front of the Zoom window now. I can see you because you're to the side. Let me see if I can. Well, I won't even try doing a screenshot. But so I could read off a Word document and still be. So I'm looking at my Outlook right now.
That's right.
Word document. So as long as if you're happy, you're taking your eye off them or iconize them so they're to the side. You can even iconize Zoom so that if I iconize it, now I'm seeing a thumbnail and I can move Word in. So I'm looking at the camera, reading off Word.
So if you've got it on your computer, you just need to get the Word page up. All you do is like Sharon's just said, is just minimize your screen. If you click exit full screen view, it will just go to that strip down the side, and then you can see everything else that's going on. You can.
Okay.
This is why when people are doing big meetings, sometimes they're talking, but they're also fiddling over on Facebook and other things, because they've minimized the screen and they've just got Facebook up to see what's going on there, and then they're doing this and they're doing that, and instead of what they should be doing. Okay.
Thank you.
And then all you need to do then is just enter full screen again when you're ready, and you go back to normal. All right. But if you've only got it with you, you just put it in front of you, or just put it right underneath the computer screen, so that you've just got to glance down and then look up. But when they've got their eyes closed, they're not going to be looking at you anyway.
No, true. Yeah.
You're thinking a little bit too deeply.
Yes, I always do.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Or my all-time favourite, you have a row of post-it notes on the bottom of your screen.
We saw them.
God, there'd be a million.
You did. I love post-it notes.
I put notes all over the desk. Just keep yourself right. Well,
I do. And do you know what? I look at it thinking, God, I've got a lot to do. And then I actually start reading them and thinking, no, that was an idea for this. That was about this. Or that's a list of people to be aware of and who not to do this with. And, oh, there's a couple of websites. There we go. Is there anything else I can help anybody with?
That's been brilliant.
Cool. Good.
That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are very, very welcome. If there's anything else I can help you with, just let me know.
Are you going to send this? Are you going to send this out to us? The recording.
I will stick one of the recordings. I might pop it in the I might see if I can pop it in the Facebook group.
Which Facebook group?
Sheila's.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll see if I can stick it in there. I'll tell you what would be the easiest way around it. What I'll do is to upload it to YouTube and then put a link in Facebook group. That'll be the easiest way of doing it. So that whichever one is more useful, I'll stick up probably tomorrow. It'll probably be mid-morning because I've got a meeting at 6:30 tomorrow morning, so it'll probably be...
Me too, I think.
Oh, are you doing BNI?
Pardon?
Are you doing a networking meeting?
Oh no, I've
got a networking meeting tomorrow at 6:30, so I can roll out of bed. That's why I like online. I can roll out of bed. Just put a clean top on.
You can't do that when you go to the real BNI meetings.
Pardon?
So you can't do that when you go to the real BNI meetings.
I have to get up even earlier because you've got to actually get dressed properly, and you've got to put a face on.
The real meetings, you can't do that.
No. See, online has its advantages.
She's frozen now.
Just keep talking.
Yeah, it's my internet.
Yes, just keep talking.
A bit dodgy.
Just keep talking.
Right, I am going to say goodbye to everyone. If there's anything that you want me to cover, anything that you want to know that we've missed or anything you think of, then please just either email me, not email me, just, there we go.
So then I took it off again, and then it didn't even show, so there were still boxes when I spoke, and then it suddenly appeared, so I don't know.
Okay.
If I take the green screen off, it says you can't do this.
Right, what happened there was exactly what I was telling you before. My internet connection, I was dropped out, but it automatically rejoined me. I didn't touch anything. It just automatically rejoined me to the meeting. Okay, and it just takes a few minutes. So if you want cancel that could happen, then you're okay. All right. Is there absolutely anything else that I can help anybody with?
That was very kind of you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just one very quick thing.
Penny, yes.
You're slightly out of sync. It's weird.
I know. It's probably my internet. It's a bit awkward. If I do that, then it'll be all right.
I haven't seen an issue, so.
No, I think it's just me. It might. I think actually it's coming back now. It's probably because my internet was unstable. That's all. It doesn't generally happen, I don't think.
It does prompt a question. I'm assuming you didn't mention it, so I'm assuming you never did. But would it be an idea to tell a client when they close their eyes, I might switch off the video just to reduce bandwidth, because it's going to take less signal to send the picture.
Yeah. If you are having a problem, then that is the one option is to switch off your video camera, because it, like Taran says, it does help if you've got dodgy internet. Okay.
Good stuff.
Thank you again.
Very helpful.
You are very, very welcome. Have an outstanding day.
Thanks very much, Helen.
You are very welcome, Mike. Good to have you all in. And I will see you Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, a Q&A session on Friday. And if it's nice and warm, I'll have my shorts on underneath.
Yes. I love Zoom meet at the moment. Spending half my life on Zoom.
So, Take care, everyone.
Soon.
Bye.